You know that friend you have? The one who borrows your lawnmower and returns it with a broken blade and an empty gas tank? The one who eats all the snacks at your Super Bowl party and never brings anything but their insatiable appetite? Yeah, that's the United States when it comes to trade with Canada. We're like the polite, apologetic neighbors they constantly take advantage of. Sure, we grumble about it over a 2-4 of Labatt Blue, but we always hope they'll eventually learn to respect the relationship. But hope doesn't pay the bills, does it? Unfortunately for Canada, the US seems to be hard of hearing when it comes to our subtle hints. They seem to have missed the memo about good neighbors respecting each other's economies, because just recently, they decided to slap tariffs on a whole bunch of Canadian goods. Tariffs, in case you're wondering, are like extra fees that make imported goods more expensive. It's like adding insult to injury, but instead of injury, it's our already precarious economic situation. So, what's the beef this time? Well, according to the folks down south, it's about illegal drugs and immigration. Apparently, Canada's lax border control is letting all sorts of undesirables into their pristine country. Now, we Canadians know that's about as accurate as saying a moose is just a really big squirrel, but try telling that to the guys calling the shots in Washington. Now, you might think Canadians, being the generally peaceful bunch that we are, would just take this lying down. You'd be wrong. We might say sorry more often than a double-parked minivan driver, but we're not pushovers. Prime Minister Trudeau, with the backing of a surprisingly united Canada, decided to fire back. And by fire back, I mean we imposed our own set of tariffs on American goods. We're talking about billions of dollars worth of American products, from booze to vegetables, clothing, and a whole lot more. If you're an American who enjoys a good bourbon with your steak, get ready to pay a whole lot more for that privilege. And that fancy new Ford truck you've been eyeing? Yeah, the price tag on that just got a whole lot bigger. This tit-for-tat exchange of tariffs has got economists sweating like a hockey player in a sauna. They're calling it a trade war, and frankly, it's not a war anyone's going to win, except maybe Mexico, who are sitting this one out like they're watching a curling match. Now I know what you're thinking. A trade war? Sounds about as exciting as watching paint dry. And normally you'd be right. But this is serious stuff, folks. A trade war is basically when two countries try to hurt each other's economies by making it more expensive to buy each other's stuff. It's like two kids in a sandbox throwing sand at each other, except instead of sand it's money, and instead of kids, it's countries with nuclear weapons. So, is this whole Canada-US spat really a trade war? Well, it's certainly got all the makings of one. You've got escalating tariffs, angry rhetoric from both sides, and a whole lot of economic uncertainty. It's like watching a game of chicken, but instead of cars, it's economies, and the stakes are way higher than just a dented fender. Section 4. Feeling the pinch from cars to cocktails. So who's actually feeling the pain in this trade war? Well, for starters, consumers on both sides of the border. Remember those higher prices on American bourbon and Ford trucks? Yeah, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Canadians are also paying more for everything from fruits and vegetables to electronics and lumber. And Americans? They're getting hit with higher prices on Canadian lumber, seafood, and a multitude of other items too many to list here. But it's not just consumers who are feeling the heat. Entire industries are being impacted by this trade war. Take the auto industry, for example. Cars these days are built with parts from all over the world, including Canada and the US. But with these new tariffs, car manufacturers are facing higher costs, which they're passing on to consumers. And the liquor industry? Let's just say that those tariffs on bourbon and Canadian whiskey are leaving a bitter taste in everyone's mouth. This trade war is a lose-lose situation for everyone involved. It's hurting businesses, costing jobs, and driving up prices for consumers. It's enough to make you want to drown your sorrows in a stiff drink. Just make sure it's not American or Canadian, because that'll cost you. Section 5. Can this friendship be saved? That's a good question. Already Canadian consumers in the grocery store are demanding made-in-Canada items and refusing to buy American products. So, what's the solution to this whole trade war mess? Well, if I had the answer to that, I'd be sitting in a think tank somewhere getting paid a lot more money than I am now. But the truth is, it's complicated. Canadians and Americans have gone to war as allies in the First World War, the Second World War, Korea, and Afghanistan. Over 150 Canadian soldiers died in Afghanistan fighting alongside American soldiers. and over 45,000 young Canadians volunteered and fought as members of the US Army in Vietnam, even though Canada was not officially a combatant in that war. Now, with the stroke of a pen, Donald Trump has swept all of that aside. Both sides have dug in their heels, and neither one wants to be the first to back down. It's like a staring contest, but with billions of dollars at stake. The only thing we can hope for is that cooler heads will eventually prevail, that both sides will realize that this trade war is hurting everyone, and that the only way to win is to not play. Until then, we're all stuck in this economic purgatory, paying more for everything and wondering if our neighbors will ever learn to play nice. Canada is now at war, be it an economic war at the moment, but President Trump has threatened to annex Canada, and Canadians will fight. They will fight economically and, if necessary, militarily. But hey, at least we're not yet at war with them, and hopefully Canada will not become America's winter war. No one wants to see American soldiers frozen in the snow. Don't underestimate Canadians, Mr. Trump. Remember, hold your friends close, but your enemies even closer. For more videos from Worldwide Wired, just click like, subscribe, and smash that bell. See you next time.